This is going to be a really fun listen for anybody who's sitting at home.
Absolutely.
Because Cameron's story still shocks me because it's so different than how I got started in the business. And you are doing a lot in a market where a lot of people are saying you shouldn't be doing a lot. All right, guys, welcome back to the 99th episode of the Pursuit of Property podcast. Today, we are joined with somebody we've tried to get on the podcast a few times. We've had a couple hiccups here, but it is awesome for the 99th episode to have on Cameron Rosso.
Man, I'm excited to be here. Thanks. Sorry, you were still doing the intro. Go ahead.
No, you're good, dude. I was saying before the podcast even started, the energy was here. This is going to be a really fun listen for anybody who's sitting at home.
Absolutely.
Because Cameron's story still shocks me because it's so different than how I got started in the business. And you are doing a lot in a market where a lot of people are saying you shouldn't be doing a lot. They're saying, oh, the business is slow. Things are slowing down. You're not going to grow this year. And it seems like you have completely shed all that disbelief and broken through.
Yeah, man. I like to think so too. I've stayed busy. I have ramped up some certain things, but just like in anything, I'm primarily on the retail side. I'm not really on the investment side yet. And I think that's everyone's goal on some level, but I have ramped up and gotten better at making more contacts. You know, any success in any sales is contacts, more conversations, and a lot to be grateful for.
Dude,
I already am loving where this is going.
Yeah. So, Cameron, can you take us to the very beginning of your story and how real estate just kind of, now became such a big part of your life? Can you start us from the very beginning?
Sure. I guess the very beginning. So I am of the firm belief that I think everyone wants to be in real estate on some level, right? Like, everyone wants to be an investor. Everyone wants their first home and rent it out and then buy another one. That's just a common conversation you have,
It's
right?
the American dream.
The American dream, right? I'm no exception to that rule. I had taken the classes. First off, I'm in my early 40s, just turned 41. And in my 20s, while I was wandering aimlessly at City College, Community College, I had taken the courses that were prerequisites for the test. Fast forward, I didn't pass the test, hung out a lot in my 20s, was a knucklehead, and fast forward to being married. In 2017, I ended up taking the test while I was working a full-time job, just because, my wife was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And I went and took the test, passed it, and I was still working a full-time job.
What were you doing?
I was an accountant. Yeah.
Like a tax accountant?
No. So I worked in the governmental sector. I worked for the Office of Education. I worked for Reedley College at one point. It's like another community college.
Oh, okay.
And, excuse me. And I was a terrible accountant. I was a really terrible accountant. I picked it because it was a logical, like, you can provide for a family, have a good job anywhere you went,
Stability.
I grew up in a small business. Accounting made sense, but I was just always terrible with details. And, really got through my degree. I have a degree in accounting, believe it or not. I feel like I got through my degree on a handshake and a smile. So yeah, that's what I was doing, but I was never at a job very long, right? I was always applying, trying to climb in the public sector, because that's how it works, right? You find a better paying job and you're eligible to do it. Just because you have a degree, you go get it anyhow. By 2017, we had our first child, and I start dabbling in real estate. My wife stays home with our first child, and I start dabbling more and more from 2017 to 2019, coupled with the fact that I am such a bad accountant, right? Coupled with the fact that I was such a bad accountant and I was doing work on a job when I said I wouldn't, I ended up getting fired in December of 2019.
Wow.
So yeah, I get fired in December of 2019. They let me resign, whatever. I spend 2 months in the beginning of 2020 crying, my pride shattered.
The last 2 normal months.
The last 2 normal months. Oh yeah. So yeah, coincidentally, that was right before COVID, right? Which also brought a lot of uncertainty. And yeah, I was, what am I going to do? My pride's hit. I can't say I'm an accountant anymore. I also knew that I had been through so many jobs. I knew that was the last one because I had a little bit of success in real estate, did a few transactions in 2019. And, so I knew that I was like, all right, I'm going to go do this full time. At the same time, like shattered, right? I have a family at home. I have 2 children now in 2020. I don't know what's going to happen. Uncertainty. Have a small home. But like I said, I'd been licensed since 2017 to 2019. I had probably done a total of 9 transactions part-time. Okay. But I listened to a lot of interviews for successful realtors, right? And, even when you listen to probably hundreds of interviews from people that have made a good, successful career out of being a realtor, you find a common recipe. The common recipe I could pinpoint was you call in the morning. The goal is setting appointments. For what? I don't know, but you set appointments, get in front of people. And, I also held open houses, but that was the common recipe. So maybe a month into crying after losing my job, I started going to Starbucks and pulling up the CRM that my broker provided me at the time and started calling every day.
Wow.
Starbucks. I had internet, wasn't away from my 2 toddlers. I remember wasn't near my 2 toddlers, in my 1,200 square foot home, and started setting appointments, held open houses every weekend, even through 2019 before I had lost my job. I was holding open houses. So the first, here's a secret for anyone out there looking for a deal in real estate is, my first 5 or 6 transactions in 2020 came from people that I held open houses with in 2019. So,
wow.
Yeah, for sure. I can try. I tracked
you
that.
Tracked it.
Oh yeah. I started tracking that. Tracking numbers couldn't be more important. Another common recipe or a common successful, what am I trying to say? A common thing that everyone tells you to do is track your numbers, right? So have a spreadsheet, know where your business comes from, know what you can capitalize on. Sorry, go ahead, dude.
No, I want you to know, keep talking. Don't let me talk over you. Before you got here,
I feel like I'm like running out of breath, dude. I feel like I'm like
well, you've got a lot of energy, which is,
okay, good.
It's translating very well. You're already giving really tangible nuggets to people who are listening. And Cade and I always want to give tangible help. Can I backtrack you?
Absolutely.
So you were an accountant every weekend when you weren't working your normal 40-hour job. You were holding open houses as a realtor. You did 9 transactions, meaning to me that you were working nights to get sales done, showing homes, getting offers out, talking to clients.
Yep.
So 2019, you got fired, but it's not because you weren't working. You weren't working on their shit.
Fair enough.
Your stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think some people think that realtors, you can become a successful realtor if you're lazy. And I think you weren't lazy. You kind of phrased it like you weren't working on their stuff, but it sounded to me like you were saying, oh, I wasn't working. No, you were working hard, just not on the stuff that you had said maybe you were going to work on.
That's funny. I'd never thought of it that way. But yeah, absolutely. And that was in the beginning, right? 2019, prior to losing my job, my career, our open houses were a family affair. My wife would come bake cookies. Really? Yeah. My wife would bake cookies in the oven of the home. We would have little sleeves where I'd staple my business card to it. One kid is in the car seat because they can't walk yet. And the other one just running around being cute, which I love to capitalize on my cute kids, So yeah, it was a family affair. We would go do that, whether it was, after church or Saturdays. That wouldn't have happened. Those 5 or 6 deals in 2020 resulting from the 2019 open houses wouldn't have happened had I not had a system for following up with those people.
Wow.
Yeah.
It just
that's another key.
Yeah.
Can we rewind a little bit too? Because I think we glossed over something really important that you said, and I want to dig a little deeper, which was when you go from you're the sole breadwinner in the family, right? Your wife is a stay-at-home mom with 2 really extremely young kids, and out of nowhere, you lose your job. No money is coming in. You have a family to provide for, a mortgage to pay. how do you pull yourself out of the gutter like that? Because I feel like so many people, it's easier said than done. Like the way you just talked about it, was like, for a month, and then I went and did it. But how do you pull yourself out of all of that, knowing everything that's on the line and everything that's at stake?
Well, my circumstances, so they did let me resign, which is something that the union had worked out. And I had 2 months of runway. So they let me resign. My official last day of working, even though I was never back in the office, was in the beginning of March. So I had those 2 months, but I had to go, I had to set appointments, dude. I had to hold every possible open house I possibly could. And I can't remember exactly how it worked out, but it did work out. And, there was no plan B. There was just, this was going to work come hell or high water,
Are you a believer?
Yeah.
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 I think it's interesting. I hear what you're saying, and I think I'm just maybe labeling, but I feel as if I would probably crumble under that pressure, having 2 kids, being kind of forced to resign, and then you didn't so much burn the boats burned them.
Yeah.
And I think it's real. I think what Kate said, you glossed over it. It's very easily said, but not easily done, is that you pulled yourself out of the gutters. And then in our industry, where you're coming from matters. So if you're coming from a sense of desperation, you don't get business. But when you come with a sense of inspiration and helpfulness, that's when you get a lot of business. So the fact that you were able to come from a hard spot, holding open houses, making appointments, and getting business says that not only did you pull yourself out of the gutter, I mean, you pulled yourself out of the gutter with a smile on your face and you got down to business. And I think that's something that a lot of our listeners who might be going through it right now need to hear, is that that's what you have to successes and the rewards that you've reaped from it sounds like a very pivotal moment, a very pivotal moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I do want to say, because mentioning the fact that the boats burn themselves, I would have never have quit on my own. I would have never quit on my own. It had to happen that way. It had to, because I would have. And it's funny because we're effectively salespeople, right? I tell realtors, I say, you got to own. If you own the fact that you're a salesperson, the sky's the limit, right? And I own the fact that I'm in sales, which it doesn't have to be doesn't have to have a derogatory connotation to it. You're in relationship with people. You are just connecting with people, and people need to buy and sell homes. Where was I going with that? So yeah, I would have never have left on my own. But I'm, and it's a scary time. There's a lot of uncertainty, but man, I would not have it any other way. It changed the trajectory of my family's life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well then, okay, let's move past that then. So you hit your first 6 transactions from work that you put in the prior year, which is very helpful, that although you didn't know it was coming, that you put in the hard work. What happens after the first, the first couple months of no income from your previous job, and now you're full commission based? I mean, what were you doing every day? What did you find success right away? What struggles were you dealing with?
Gosh, it's hard to remember, dude. I'd have to look at my spreadsheet, but open houses didn't stop, right? They did because COVID happened soon after that. But I daily, it's funny because I would daily go, so I was at EXP at the time, and there is no central office. The person that I had signed on under was in Ohio, and people had recently, at that point, some bigger local names had come to EXP. So I was reaching out to them. I would crowdsource information, right? That was has been my place since the beginning, but I needed office space. I couldn't do it at Starbucks forever, right? So a successful local realtor let me pay $75 a month. I bounced from a couple offices. But the point of me saying that is I went to the office every day. How they say show up. So I absolutely did that. And if they weren't there, I didn't have a key. So if they weren't there, I remember mornings where I was pulling up my laptop in my car, waiting for them to get there so I could check whatever was in my CRM, see any open house leads or any other leads that I might have purchased, different internet leads, buyer sources and stuff like that, and follow up with them. And, but it was showing up every day, dude. No, it was pretty simple. And I knew that as long as I wasn't at our house, and I was in an office, there was at least the vehicle for me to like, not just sit there and do nothing, right? Like I have to do something, and I know I need to make contact. So it was just pretty much showing up and being consistent about that.
What were you doing when you were there?
Getting on the phones. So I would circle prospect.
Okay.
So I used a dialer and a neighborhood source. I forget which one it was at the time. And I would just call the neighborhoods. You got to find a reason to call people, right? I just need a reason to call you, and hopefully we can connect, right? 20 people I won't connect with, but after 20, that one will, and then I'll have a reason to follow up with you again. So I would circle prospect. Hey, what's up? I got an open house this weekend. Just wanted to let you know. Just want to personally invite you. Or, hey, I just sold this house. Just want to personally invite you. You know what I mean? A reason to call them. That's what circle prospecting is, right? And I didn't spend a ton of time calling expireds or FSBOs at the time for sale by owners. But yeah, circle prospecting was a big piece of it. I also called probates. Probate leads. Love probate leads, man. I know I'm not the only one that does. I'm sure you guys love them too.
Yeah.
It's a very versatile lead. But yeah, I would call on probates, circle prospect. But that was a daily thing in the morning. And
in the morning.
Oh yeah, in the morning. Yeah.
So you'd wake up and the first thing you do, you'd show up and you'd start calling.
Yeah, in some way, shape, or form, it was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wasn't in 5 to 10 escrows, so I had all day to do this. Right. So there'd be a lot of talking to another agent that was there or whatever, but it was calling throughout the day, find a reason to call somebody, and then you have one good conversation. Dude, that's the thing, dude. When you're realtors just don't want to make phone calls, right? They just don't want to make phone calls. And I understand that. Every day, I don't feel like doing it, but after you have that first good connection, I swear, dude, every day I will call expireds, and I won't want to do it. But then you'll have that one where we kind of connected, and it's just enough reason for me to plug you in, chase you down again, send you a handwritten card. It's just those connections, man. When you have that, it fires you up.
Yeah, I think you make a really great point too. You had mentioned something before we were getting the podcast started, talking about our backstop, and you're like, yeah, and I've got my follow-up to do today, and it's non-negotiable. I've got to do it at some point today, right?
Yeah.
And so as you make that transition, because you also said something really important too, when you didn't have the 5 to 10 escrows going on, you have all day to be making your calls. There's no excuse to not be making your calls,
100%,
because that's the only thing to do if you're not dealing with putting out a bunch of fires from a bunch of escrows, right? But how did that change, and how disciplined did you keep yourself once those 5 to 10 escrows started happening to not let the follow-up in your calls fall through the cracks?
Dude, that is a beautiful question. I love it. That is still a challenge, right? I had a really good month last month, and it's only this is the 4th year in that I've been doing this. It's only in the last 6 months to a year, especially since the turbulent market hit, that when you can get in, I shouldn't even say 5 to 10. I should say anywhere from 3 to 7 escrows, right? Or even 1 to 4, right? When you have things to manage and you're not used to managing them because you don't have that much business, it's a challenge, right? Yeah. Even further than that is the challenge of diligently making new contacts every day. Because, dude, once those 4 escrows close, once the 2 escrows close, I want to talk to everyone, we're like, what now? What now, dude? This money is spent. I don't have anything coming in, so it's so important to at least make 1 new contact that you can connect with a day. Plug into your CRM, part of the recipe, part of the crucial formula to doing this steadily, right? And find a reason to follow up with them, man. While you are in 3 to 4 escrows or 1 to 2 escrows, whatever, when you're managing the escrows, because it's here's another thing. In my observation and my own proclivities, we do things that make us want to feel like we're working, whether that's joining a committee, being a part of an event, and it's things that, I love what I'm doing. And it's bro, dude, how are you making money?
You're doing everything but working.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a difference between feeling like you're working and actually working on income generating activities.
Money making activities.
We always say it's easy to be busy. It's hard to be productive.
Perfectly well said, dude. Well said. And I feel that pull too, right? Whether it's just being at the office and walking around talking to other agents. I'm at work. My wife thinks I'm at work.
You're going on a podcast with two idiots.
Yeah, or doing a podcast today. I do have incentive to do that. The reason I reached out to you guys, I did ask to be on this podcast, right? I'm making a secret of that. And I want to put myself out there more. I'm working on reaching out to other agents and being a mentor to other agents right now. But that's another story. Regarding, so I was going backwards to that pull to want to feel busy and feel productive, but not actually doing money-making activities. I think we all have that on some level.
all do it.
You have to fight it, right? And well, I lost my train of thought. Either way,
you were saying keeping business going, closing deals, you're finding new business. You don't want to feel busy and then have nothing.
Yes. Oh, okay. So that feeling, you brought me right back on. So that pull to want to do things that make us feel busy, dude, we never feel busier than when you're an agent that just opened like 2 escrows, you're opening a 3rd, you're showing homes. Like that is like, you feel great. Oh man, I got to handle this inspection. Oh, I've got to get the appraisal, yada, 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 make sure my buyers know this. You know what I mean? Like that is like things you have to do. But it also satisfies that need to feel busy when other real, people get involved in other stuff and do events and galas and everything. Nothing wrong with that stuff. I'm just saying that, it's really easy to get busy, especially in your escrows, and then and let the important work about new contacts and making sure you're following up fall to the wayside. Another thing about following up, you can, in order to follow up, you have to have a system that you're putting people into.
This is good that you're talking about this.
Dude, and it's a hard hurdle to overcome, right? No one wants to learn their new software, myself included.
Salespeople hate software.
I hate it, dude. I hate it. But it'll save your life and you'll make tons of money if you just get over that hurdle. And when you have a good conversation with someone that's new, let a switch go off. I gotta plug them in. I have to set a reminder to get in touch with them again for something. We connected. They're going to forget me. Even though we connected for this new contact, they're going to forget me, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my personal recipe for that is I have a stack of blank, cute Target cards about this big, right?
Ours are right behind Ethan.
Oh, I love you guys, dude. I love it.
Same one from Target.
Same from Target.
Love it. Blank ones. I have little dogs with sunglasses, whatever, dude. I also, another part of my secret sauce is, so this is all in the context of finding a reason to reach out to them again. Right. You have a new contact. You want to reach out to them again. I want a reason to call them. And that reason is going to be, did you get my handwritten card in the mail? Right. So anyhow, cute card. I also get Sesame Street stamps from Amazon. You pay a little more for them, but I'll shoot you a picture of them. I'll shoot you. Yeah,
I just bought stamps yesterday.
So you get like these sheets, and it has every Sesame Street character: Big Bird, Oscar the Grouch, and it's like, who's not going to open that? Every time I go put something in the mail, I walk by the girls in the front, and I'm like, who's not going to open this? You know what I mean? I also throw a dollar scratcher in there, my business card, and definitely refer to something that we talked about in the conversation. Another thing that I've developed over time is like, I type out what I'm going to say in my CRM first, because I found that sending all these handwritten cards, I'm like, I sent them a card. That's my only reminder. I have no idea what I wrote to this person, so I'll type it out and then I'll copy it in the card, and that way at least I know what I said to that person in the card.
I do that sometimes. I admittedly, I don't have that locked in every time, but I like to put reference to what I put in there so that if they call me and say, hey, I got your card, if this was somebody that I don't know very well, and it's like, hey, this is John, you wrote me a card, that might not click with me. But then if I've written it out 2 different times and then he may make one reference, or if I'm making a follow-up call, hey, did you get my card talking about whatever? It helps having it written down.
It does. It helps a lot, because then it'll also trigger like other things you might not have written down in the conversation. How did you guys really connect? Maybe you talked about your dog, stuff like that.
Can I ask you, I'm going to project again. I will share something that I dealt with, and I want to know if you dealt with it.
Yeah.
Even today, I still go through the waves, right? So we always talk about in sales, you always are going to have waves of sales. And our goal is just to make the waves kind of go like this, right? Like the lows are still higher than where you started, right? So you don't have 0 months. You have, a month where you close maybe 1 deal, right? And you're slowly growing. When you're dealing with that, I've always found that I go from a feeling of overwhelmed that I don't have enough business to overwhelmed that I have too much business and I can't make my new prospecting calls. Have you dealt with that?
100%, bro. 100%.
Okay, I mean, I'm gonna start calling you chef because you referenced the recipe. But
Okay.
dude, chef, how do you deal with the recipe to fix that?
That is, so, all right. I'm sure we all know who Alex Hormozy is, right?
Yeah.
He had, in his interview with Ed Milet, he said, I believe that entrepreneurship is the single-handed best path to personal development, right? So that's going to be the foundation for what I say right now. So I have grown in that, right? And between dialing back your spending, because when you start making a bunch of money, right? And you can do things you didn't do before, and you have a family and you want to do special stuff for your kids or whatever, you want a bigger house, you know what I mean? Lifestyle creep is a very real thing you have to get under control, referencing the personal growth side of things, right? You have to get spending under control. You have to live way the F below your means is what they say, right? So that's part of it. And then part of it is just like, once you have enough of those peaks and valleys, you can kind of anticipate them, right? You can kind of anticipate them and work through them a little better. I'm in a valley right now, closed. Like I said, I had a great April, closed like 7 deals.
Typically means your May is going to be a little slower. You're building
I have
your
nothing
June.
in escrow right now. Normally, and my wife even pointed this out, normally I'm a hot mess right now. I don't have anything in escrow. I have a listing coming. I have a couple of actives that are overpriced, but it's like, the point is I'm in a valley right now, right? And normal Cameron a year ago is like stressed out, losing sleep over that, rushing to hold open houses, rushing to do something, or I get on the internet, I'm like, oh, maybe I need to buy leads. I've done that before too. But I'm great. I'm great. I know I'm still working every day. I'm still doing the money making activities, and I'm not panicked. And I guess I can just attribute that to having had personal development over the last 18 months, 2 years, or since the time I've been in the business. Requires intention. And did I answer the question?
Yeah, no, you are.
Yeah.
Because to me, I've started to view it with this thought process. You have to be persistent enough to not wait, but patient enough to not rush it. Like, you have to be willing to accept that I'm doing what makes deals happen.
Yeah.
And I have to accept the fact that I might not see where the next deal is, but I'm doing the things that are going to make it happen. But Cade and I have gone through lulls where we have these deep conversations sitting across from each other just like this. And it's like, dude, I don't know what it is, but I know that this is just a lull and this is just like something's going to pop shortly here. But we have sometimes a hard time getting it through our thick head that, it's like, why are we nervous? We've done the things that happen that make deals come to fruition. But it sounds like right now you're in a lull, but I would not even have guessed it, that you just closed your deals and that right now you're ramping back up all of your next ones.
Yeah. Say, you would not have guessed what?
You seem like you're in such a good mood. The reason why I bring that up is because sometimes like salespeople, you can tell when their business is a little slower. You ask them how business is and they're like, it's good.
Yeah.
But I asked you how business is.
I vividly remember answering in that way, like, oh, dude, I wouldn't even want to do the podcast, bro. Like, I would have been like, man, I got a prospect, I got to schedule an open house for tomorrow or something. But no, yeah, things are, I have a lot to be grateful for right now. And I'm grateful for my mindset. Mindset requires a lot of intention. Grateful for the trajectory of where I'm headed right now. And yeah, I don't have anything in escrow. It's the first time in a while. And I'm like, all right. On to the next. I know I haven't, like I said, I'm not without business. I have a couple of active listings and I have a listing I'm signing next week, possibly. There are things, right? But yeah, nothing in escrow. That means like nothing's coming at minimum in the next 30 days. There's no checks going in the bank, right? But no, I'm good. I'm doing the things, right? There was my first broker who's still a dear friend of mine. His name is Mike. He said, because he's one of the guys that I would call when I was panicking or when I was in one of those lulls. I'm like, oh, dude. And he goes, you know what? If you're doing the things, you get to a point that when you're doing the money making activities and you're doing them consistently, you learn to enjoy the lulls. So that's always stuck with me. It's like, I'm just going to enjoy the lull a little bit. Still prospect, still make new contacts, maybe hold an open house if I have time. I don't know.
Go play some golf.
Not a golfer, but yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
Well, and I want to relate that too, because mindset too, and building on, like keeping your foot on the gas. Like you said, last year it would have been like panic button, panic mode. And I think we've talked to more than a handful of people, especially with, all the chatter that's been, chattering about the economy for the past couple of months, right? Like, hey, we're headed into a recession. Everyone's saying, oh, get ready for the hard months.
Bro, we've been saying that for a year now.
Prepare to weather the storm. And it's like, dude, you can't always retreat and hit that panic button. You like keeping your foot on the gas and keeping yourself in the right mental space. I think that cannot be, overstated. Like that needs to be hammered into everybody listening.
Make more contacts, man. Just make more contacts. Whether you're looking for a wholesale deal, a flip, or you're in the retail side, it's all about contacts. You can talk to more people,
Dude, people are always going to be doing transactions no matter what kind of market or economy we're in.
Yep.
Real estate is always going to be happening no matter what.
Can you share some of the mindset stuff that you've listened to so that people listening, because we talk about it on our podcast, but I don't think we're necessarily super focused on mindset. It's a tertiary conversation that comes up most podcasts. Who do you like to listen to help harden your mindset and just grow personally? You mentioned Ed Milet.
Man, yeah, I'm in an Ed Milet phase right now. I had not listened to Ed Milet previously before like 2 months ago, right?
Well,
I knew who he was. I know
great.
he's a legend, and he's incredible, dude. Just it comes from a place of contribution. I'm trying to think, man. I don't know how to answer the mindset question, but you definitely. I don't know if
any podcasts or books stick out to you that you could promote? Ed Milet's a really, really solid one.
A really great resource. And I'm a big fan of Alex Hormozy. Alex Hormozy, even though he's not in the real estate business, he has just said some things that have heavily impacted me. He says one thing, right? And this guy's only 32, which I know he's older than you guys, but much younger than me, right? And he said, when I was 20, all I wanted to be was a multimillionaire. When I was a multimillionaire, I would have given it all up just to be 20 again, right? So that same principle, he says, like, my 80-year-old version of myself would be stoked to be 40 again, right? So I took that a step further, and it's like when I'm impatient with my children, it's like I want the 80-year-old version of myself in the room with me saying, bro, you don't need to worry about this right now. Like, this is about your comfort, not about helping your children grow. You know what I mean? Just like taking counsel from your 80-year-old version of yourself or 70-year-old version of yourself. That's been kind of a mindset shift for me.
Yeah.
That can also apply to when I just want to scroll Facebook or focus on Instagram in my office, but I have no accountability, right?
Right.
We're all entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And, where 70-year-old Cam is at the door, like, you are wasting valuable time. Why aren't you making more contacts, or why aren't you pursuing this, or why, that's been a big shift for me, dude. And even if God willing, we make it to being multimillionaires, or I do, I'm going to want to give all that up just to be 40, 41 again, and just making the most out of your opportunities. There's so much opportunity, dude. Like to wake up and see life that way, like, and like, dude, there is a day full of opportunity today. I'm gonna go talk to Scott and Cade today.
Nobody's smiling when they have that sentence.
I was excited about this, man.
Well, then share with us, like, what's the different mindset? Because I have worked at a desk job for a couple summers, but that was very different when you're a summer intern. What's it like, the difference in your life, waking up knowing that you're in control of your day, you're in control of how much money you make, you're in control of how many hours you're going to work, versus you're waking up and you're going to go sit at your desk at Reedley College and you're going to work on details and stare at a screen all day? What's that difference for you?
Man, I mean, instead of being chained to a desk, my time is mine. I can do what I want. I don't know how to answer the question, really. When you're working a job like that, you're trading your time for money, right? When you are, an entrepreneur, as a realtor, like, you're not so much trading your time for money, you're building, right? Like, I have not so much written down, but like, I have got some plans for the future, right? Like, I'm doing this to stack as much chips as possible to either invest, to make sure my kids are set up for life, There's just, it's, you know, when before, like, honestly, I don't even know how I was planning on making that happen. Like, well, they're going to give me a pension, you know, or, well, you know, I got my time off, you know, I got my 2 weeks in the winter to sit on the couch, you know what I mean? It's just a totally different dynamic. And like, honestly, like I in my heart, I just know I was built to do this, you know, built to be on my own, you know, because the money's great. The freedom, priceless.
Yeah.
For instance, yesterday, my son's 4th birthday, you know, I took a moment to be intentional because it's been like 4 years now, right? I took a moment to be intentional, be like, I didn't have to put in for PTO, personal time off, to go to the movies with the family yesterday at 1. You know, it's just like, no, I did go to the office at 8, made sure I got one contact in, did my follow-ups, and that was done. Because again, not in any escrows. There's no fires to put out.
Right. Right. Hey, I'm with you.
And yeah, the freedom, man.
You had mentioned you would never have left that job. So think about, like, we have kind of two different bases of listeners. We have the kids who are coming out of school, who are getting into the business. And then we also have people who are sitting at their desk listening to this podcast right now while they do something else. And they're saying, I've always wanted to get into real estate. I'm going to do, you know, the Cameron move of listen to hundreds of episodes, but I'm not actually leaving my job. I'm just going to listen. Now that you're on the other side and you know what they're going through and all the fear that probably goes through your head thinking, if I were to leave, what would happen? What would you say to those people sitting there listening to the podcast at their desk right now?
I mean, it's going to be useless if you don't take action. Did I answer the question right?
Yeah. I mean,
that's what I would say. It's like, I mean, again, acquiring knowledge and listening is fun, and it makes you feel like you're, you know, just like we say, you feel like, oh no, listen to this great podcast. I'm reading this book. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm getting started for 8 years.
Getting started forever, in perpetuity, right? Yeah, it's
What would you say to get them to seriously consider leaving the job?
Gosh, it just wasn't my circumstance. I've been asked that question before, and it's tough, man. I would tell them, I would tell them this story. I heard this story in a book. Oh, this is actually a mindset book. I can recommend the Illusion of Money.
The Illusion of Money
by I think his name was Kyle Chase.
Okay.
How chasing money keeps you from receiving it. A little woo wooey, but there was some good stuff in there. One of the stories that I would tell them is like, dude, I would tell you, Scott, you know, in order to leave your job, it's like I'm talking to Michael Jordan with memory loss. All right. Michael Jordan got amnesia. I'm going to butcher the story that he has in the book, but you're Michael Jordan. And I'm like, Scott, you know, dude, you have to leave this job at Applebee's, you know, and you're like, no, bro, they're going to make me assistant manager. You know, like, I need this job. You know, I'm like, dude, you have no idea what's on the other side of this wall, bro. I know I've seen it. I could see it in you. You know, and you're trying to tell this person at the work in their desktop, dude, there's so much life that you're giving up for $50,000 a year, you know, freedom, you know, on top of much more, you know, a lucrative career, you know, and I've actually had that conversation with an agent recently. I'm like, dude, you are Michael Jordan, you know, like, you can do this, you know, like, what are you doing? Like, let's get there. You know, just being encouraging and not too much fluff, but like that's how I would approach that. There's a life on the other side of this wall that you have no idea the possibilities. I also have to tell myself that. Yeah. Right. Like, considering making my first hire, that's a big wall to climb. We talked about that when we met the first time. And you know, and I just know, like, if money wasn't an issue, I'd do it right now. But it's like, on top of the extra, it's a change, right? Change is uncomfortable on top of the extra work, you know? So I talk to myself that way too. It's like, dude, you have no idea what's on the other side of this wall. You just need to do it. Take action. Just take the action, bro. Anyhow.
I love it. Cameron, what are your goals throughout the rest of this year, 2023? And I know you mentioned some of the longer term goals briefly that you had, at least while you were at the other job, and you were saying, like, dude, looking back, there's no way I could achieve that for me or my family. But now that you're in this position, your mindset has undergone a huge shift. What are the goals the rest of this year and beyond?
That's a good question, Cade. That's a good question. Goals for the rest of this year, I don't have. I hate to say it, but I don't have like written down goals for the rest of this year. I'm in the middle of, I think, a shift personally. I want It's even hard for me to say it, bro. I want to be a coach.
Take your time. Yeah.
I want to be a coach. I want to mentor agents. The way our brokerage is structured is perfect for that. The way our brokerage is structured, to bring on agents and passive income that way. But like, I really love pouring into agents. For instance, this is just a coincidence, but there are 6 different agents that I sent video messages to this morning talking about, dude, hey, this is going to be an incredible day today. Crush it. Give me a call if you need anything. Something along those lines. And I was just telling another buddy of mine before I came over here, it's like, man, dude, I would love, don't get me wrong. I love real estate, but like, if I could make real estate money coaching agents, I'd do it in a heartbeat, So I think something like that's on my horizon. Okay. I'm starting to walk down that path in some way, shape, or form. Also, like, you've seen some of the content that I'm putting out and singing and making fun songs to realtor content. That's part of that play. I don't have anything, like, I don't know how it's going to work out, but it's like, how they talk about in entrepreneurship, how you just like know it's going to work. There's no plan B. That's kind of how I feel about this.
Gotcha.
So I'm pretty stoked. I'm not just doing my best. I'm doing what's required. I'm meeting in a studio. I'm intentionally writing songs and content. Thanks to a good friend of mine who is also doing the same thing. He's kind of paved the way for me to do it in my own way. His name is Steven Diaz.
Bro, Steven's hilarious.
He's great at what he does, man. The guy's gifted. I'm grateful for his influence in my life, and I would love to do more with him. But it's also
Can the podcast, can we put out a shout out? Steve, if you're watching this, do a duo and co-create a song, and we'll play it on the podcast.
Yeah.
That would be pretty
hilarious. There is one.
Oh! Wait, what? Have you already has it been posted?
There's a reel, and it's we redid the Gangster's Paradise.
No
way.
Radio
song, and we named it the Seller's Paradise, and it's all about the hot sellers market. We have verses in there about even my mama knows I'm not going to find a home, and I have a funny verse that I put on the hook about like buyers agents are carrying knives in the Seller's Paradise. That was our first little collab, our only one, but no, he's been a great friend, great influence. I'm grateful for that opening a category in my mind to where now I'm like kind of writing my own content and songs and stuff. And
well, let's talk more about this goal of like helping agents. I mean, I'll say, like, I like calling you chef now.
Hit it.
It's so funny to me. So, dude, you are coming out with like so much good energy, and I can tell just from the times that we've sat down and talked, you do seem like you care more about helping other people than you do about necessarily just making money or anything like that. Like you can get that energy from you just sitting across from you. Agents sitting here wanting to reach out. I mean, like, what does that look like for them? If they were to want to reach out to you and get that started, like, what are you hoping to do? And then what do they do in return to help you? What does that look like? Have you thought through that?
I haven't. I know. Isn't that crazy? Like, I don't have a plan, bro. I need to come up with that. But agents are welcome to reach out to me. If I can add any value to your life, you guys too. I'm into it. I like how our brokerage is structured so that it puts us in business together, right? When you win, I win, and it's a collaborative environment. And that was pretty much the one thought. And I was like, dude, but hey, I really like doing this too. I really like calling people and showing them like, let me be a resource to you, man. Like, dude, you can do this. This is not, let's climb this wall together. That whole kind of mentality. So what does that look like? Reach out to me, man. If you have something, like, this is what I did in the beginning. I reached out to agents that weren't even in my brokerage. Said, hey, can I hold that open for you? My name's Cameron. I'm brand new. Hey, can I, hey, I'm in this situation, Ron, or, what do you think about this? And he's like, I don't have time. All right, call the next guy. Hey, right. I'm in this situation, Steve. Like, what can in your experience, in your vast experience, can you help me?
Yeah.
That's what I say. Crowdsource. There's a bunch of realtors out there. Most of them like helping you.
Yeah. Dude, that's crazy. I'll say, if I was sitting here and I was brand new and I was listening to the podcast, I would call you. You seem like you're really fun to hang out with. And so to me, I'd be like, dude, wait, this guy's telling me like exactly how to start selling houses. And do you know the numbers off the top of your head on how much you produced last year?
It was a down year. I was hoping for 30, 26 transactions.
26 transactions. The average
12 million.
Average agent sells 3, I think.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think the number is 3. David Keller, I think, was the one who had done the math and found out that it was like 3 or something like that. So you did way way more than the average agent.
Yeah. Okay.
You crush.
Grateful for it, man.
And that's your down year, you said?
Well, that was last year was 2022 when interest rates jumped up, and then all of a sudden, it's calling for sale by owners that, they can't sell their homes. And, yeah, it was down from 2021.
What did you do in 2021?
32.
Wow.
32, yeah.
So right there, you did over 50 houses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's very impressive.
Thanks, man. Thanks. It's funny, I don't know. Another part of the human condition is like complacency. Like, oh man, I should be doing more. I should be doing more. Especially when you surround yourself with people that are doing way more, right? And I have that going for me. I'm in an office and at a brokerage that there's just a lot of heavy hitters, and you just don't feel adequate ever, which is a good place to be. You don't want to compare yourself to people too much, but you want to be around Purdue. You don't want to be the highest producing dude in the room.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
No, that's exactly right.
It's the best. That was a big thing in our mind when we made the move over to our current office. Is we're the lowest guys on the totem pole in here, and exactly like you said, it's very easy to get caught in that comparison trap, and it can be hard to get back out. Mm-hmm. But you don't want to be the person at the top of the totem pole.
Yeah.
Because there's no room and opportunity for growth there. So I think surrounding yourself with the right people who are doing what you want to be doing at a higher level, and finding yourself, at the bottom of a totem pole with people to chase and goals to chase, I think is the best environment for people to be in.
Yeah. Can I backtrack to something real quick? When we were talking about mindset, there was an interview that I had listened to, and it was another Ed Milet interview. I forget who he was interviewing, but this person had worked for Tony Robbins, doing his launches and things like that, and went out on her own. And she was saying, in order to start in any business, so I'm kind of relating it to me wanting to be a coach someday, is all you need is a 10% edge, right? You need to, have done something. So I'm relating to you saying, 26 transactions versus the average 3 or 32 or whatever. I was thinking, like, what is my edge? I was like, you know what? And it hit me on one of my runs in the morning. I was like, I could take an agent from 12 transactions to 24 or 15 to 30. I could help I'm like, there's my edge. Like, I could absolutely, because that's what I did. That's what I've done since I had started. It was around 28 to 32, right? Every year. It's like, man, I could show you what I'm doing, and what I'm doing is getting you to there, so that's the edge.
If somebody were selling 22 to 32 units a year, they would be financially set for life. I mean, that is a very sustainable thing that you can do.
And you can do it on your own.
And you can do it on your own, and you'd make a lot of money. And you'd be, if that is important to you, you could make a lot of money, or you could learn how to sell 12 to 15 houses working very little. Mm-hmm. And if you're comfortable and you want time freedom, you could teach somebody that too.
For sure.
Holy shit. Okay, so any last notes that you want to leave before you give contact information for how people can call you?
No, man. No, I don't think I have anything. I'm grateful. This is a lot of fun.
Dude,
I'm stoked we did this.
99 episodes, and it's still, I look forward to the podcast every week. We do this all for free. In a market where everybody's saying cut expenses, this is one of the non-negotiables for us.
I love it.
So to us, like, this is what we enjoy doing.
And conversations like this is why, dude.
Exactly.
Conversations like this is why.
We just got a free coaching from you. That's exactly what just happened. Now let's put out your contact info. So all those new agents who want you to start coaching them, you may not have a plan yet, but who want you to start helping them, how do they get a hold of you?
My handle is on Instagram is probably the best way right now.
Okay.
At Rosso Cameron. That's ROSSO and my first name, Cameron. You should be able to type in Cameron Rosso Instagram, or I'm very searchable. Everything's public, right? Whether I'm on Facebook or Instagram, I would prefer Instagram, but I mean, I'm also very reachable on Facebook. So
okay, so social media is the best way to hit you.
I think so. You want my cell phone number too?
No, that's perfect.
We can do that.
No, I mean, if you want to blast your cell phone, that's fine. But to us, we like Instagram. That seems to be the easiest.
IG, man.
Yeah.
Whether it's DMs or comments or whatever. Yeah.
Well,
and that's where I'm primarily focused on all the reels and everything,
Perfect.
And then where are you based out of?
I'm right down the street, man.
Where's your
Fresno, California? Is that what you want?
Well, where are you at in Fresno?
We're right at Alluvial and Ingram.
Perfect.
Our office is actually moving to right by Fidelity down the street, right here.
There we go.
We leased some space. Suite, I forget the suite number, but it's 7475 North Palm.
Cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
right here, Palm and Alluvio, man.
Wow.
Boom.
So if you guys have ever been to our podcast office, they're going to be right near here. That's dope because that means we can go on
so
walks
close.
and stuff.
Yeah.
We walk right past there every day.
Yeah.
So
we were. I partnered with Cam and Darren, the Strive team.
Yeah.
And got a lot of space for the network. So there's a number of agents that are coming into the office, and we're gonna have a bullpen, and it's gonna be cool, man. It's gonna be way rad.
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Cameron, thanks for coming on. Before we let you guys go for the podcast, next week is episode 100. Kid, you want to give them a little teaser on what we're doing?
Yeah. So as we wrap this up, we want to give a little bit of a teaser, and we'll have a lot of marketing materials coming out. But for our 100th episode, we wanted to do something really, really impactful to continue giving back to our community. Like Scott had mentioned a little bit earlier, we've never had any sponsorships. We've never, charged a dime for anything on the podcast. But our goal is, if anybody has gained any value from any guest, any piece of information, any lessons learned from our podcast, we are going to be partnering with Olive. And Olive is a charity over in Madera that is solely focused to helping women who are victims of sex trafficking provide safe housing, resources, and everything. And we've got a really, really big goal. We want to raise as close as we can to $30,000 or more for Olive. And we're going to be having their director on next week to talk a little bit more about them. And we just really, really, really want to raise some money for the community, give back. And that's what we got going on for our 100th pod.
Absolutely.
Nice.
So we've spent 100 episodes bringing on guests like Cameron to try to help as many people as possible.
Yeah.
If, like I said, if you've gotten any value from our podcast, even doing a deal or just a mindset shift that you felt good about, if you'd consider donating to Olive, they're an amazing cause. If you want to learn more, we're going to talk to them next week, and then keep an eye out. The link will be shared very shortly.
Boom.
See you guys next week.
Thanks for having me, guys. Awesome.